Hi everybody, this is post video me. I just wanted to say that mid recording my camera stopped, but I do have a separate audio file which has been recorded in its entirety. So in the middle of this video you will lose footage. I will probably add some sort of a picture to the background. Anywho, this is a podcast style video. There will not be many edits. There will be some cat butts, but that's basically the most interesting thing that you will see during this video. So feel free to just put it on background and go do whatever you do. This video has only 30 minutes of footage, but about an hour of sound. So it is how it is. Could I have re-recorded the second half? I could, but then I would probably just stop myself from finishing the video at all. So it is how it is. Anywho, thank you for even clicking on this. Thank you for watching. It will be full of my hot takes, and it was a lot of fun to make. So I hope you enjoy. I enjoyed myself thoroughly, even so that I didn't notice that the video cut off. Hey. Enjoy. Hi, my name is Mariana. I am known online currently under Venelestis, and I'm a creator of botanical oracle decks. I live with 4 cats, so this will be an occurrence. They're very social. They want to be part of everything I do, so they will be part of this video, and they might play with the focus on the camera as well. I know I'm super late for this tag, but to be honest, I got the inspiration to do it through AnnMaddox posting her video, which was also very late, and I thought, why not? I wanted to get back into talking to people and getting out of my comfort zone a little bit, and this seemed like the perfect place to start because this tag, created by Ella Harrison, the Red-Headed Witch, and the Polish Folk Witch, features everything from introductions to what I ultimately maybe want to do here, and that is just commentary and sharing opinions. So let's start with question number 1. Introduce yourself. How long have you been participating in the witchcraft online space, and what practices and topics do you discuss primarily? As I said, my name is Mariana. I am known under Venelestis, but I have been participating in the online space for, I don't know, 10, 15 years? I'm a millennial, so I grew up without the internet, but I got into it like quite in its early social media days. I started participating under Valis Enchanted, which was my essential oil / ritual perfume project, but I also came up into the most witchy space during the golden witch blur Tumblr era, during the Tradcraft is very popular time, and that's also when I to this day feel that I was most happy at, not at Tumblr itself, but that era of discussion and discourse TM, when somebody would post their, I don't know, spell or ritual idea, and I would actually go and test it out, and then maybe reblog my own commentary or my own my own experience and how that ritual, spell, or whatever worked out for me, and it was very academic, and I liked it very much. Nowadays I focus mostly on plants, which is something that has been going over my own space since the beginning, through essential oils and herbs and incense and all the nice smelly things, but also from a more animistic point of view, from the point of view that plants are people, and everybody or every one of them has a character, has of course correspondences and uses, but also can be communicated with. And that's kind of where the deck idea started, and that's basically recognizing the plants around us in our environments, but also in our kitchens and in our general vicinity and environment as allies that can be worked with. So what I do now is basically illustrate them and then go out and photograph them, take videos of them, and commune with the plant spirits. And I, through the deck, encourage everybody else to try and do the same if they like, or do something completely different using it. That's completely up to whoever uses the deck. What is my personal reasoning, inspiration behind sharing my practice online? Well, as I mentioned, maybe speaking from like my today's train of thought, it's chasing nostalgia, I guess. I really do like hope that I will like catch a little bit of that community discussion and academic sharing of experiences and like trying out and giving feedback without without judgment, or maybe with a little bit of judgment if it's warranted, but generally like inspiring each other and trying out new things, and then going back and giving experience and giving not criticism, not critique, just feedback. It doesn't look like it at this moment on my social media. I'll be the first one to admit it. I just share my own like personal musings and thoughts because I do feel that I like suffered a burnout at some point in regards to like all of this, and I am still, to be honest, reeling from it, and it's been difficult. It's getting very easy now, but I still feel like I'm like trying to find my voice, to be completely honest. What am I looking to achieve by participating? Do I seek to educate, learn, and connect? In perfect honesty, I have no ambition to educate. I have thought about it. I've like not really tried it, but I've thought about it. Who am I to educate? I don't feel like I'm somebody to educate, because spiritual practice is spiritual and innately personal and subjective. But I do seek to get inspired and to learn and to connect and to create some sort of back and forth communication, connection, a community as well, but not in the sense of like, hey, we're like people who do the same thing, because I have that, I'm part of that, but more like in the olden days, a circle of spiritual witchy academics. That would be great. Maybe that exists. Maybe I just lost it and haven't found it. But also, in a way, I try to create the content that I would like to see. And this is a part of it. What I'm doing right now is a part of it. It's making the content that I would like to see. And that's just honest, not brutal, but honest and inspiring. That's what I try to do on my Instagram. Just take pictures of weeds and make them look pretty, and just show them to people that not only the exotic plants and fruits and herbs are interesting, that things that grow in the cracks of the sidewalks are beautiful, and wise spirits that can enrich my life and your life and everybody else's life. So that's what I seek. How do I believe social media as a whole has impacted the community? Oh my God. I said Tumblr like 50 times, but also I do believe that social media has robbed us of our attention spans and of the ability to critically think, to ask questions, to give and receive feedback and critiques and peer reviews. Even in the witchy space, I do believe that we got used to just Googling a question and receiving a short answer and not really going deep into why that answer is what it is, how this works, and what can be extrapolated from it. To just give an example in regards to plants, we know that some plants have correspondences, but those correspondences have not been sucked out of your little finger. They have reasons why there is reasons why the plants has the correspondences it has, why it has affinities to certain planets, why it does have, even in like magical herbalism, the effects that it has. And it's very nice to just ask, yeah, what are the properties or like correspondences for chamomile, and you will get some, but then you will have to keep asking for every plant there is, and sooner or later you will find a plant that just doesn't have the resources online and that people have not used and don't know. And there is the reason why you need to learn to extrapolate those correspondences and those effects, whatever that is, yourself, by communicating with the plant spirit, by learning how correspondences are assigned. And we have lost that, I feel. To just plug my decks. It's one of the reasons why I decided not to have a booklet for them, because I don't want to handhold people and give them some sort of correspondences. And for sure, even in my decks, I would reach a place where there is no official historical literature listing correspondences for a specific plant that I have illustrated, and I would either have to add my own personal UPG, my own personal gnosis, my own personal thoughts and experiences with the plant, and either, of course, disclose that it's my own, but also rob you of the opportunity of creating that relationship yourself and finding out for yourself and maybe establishing your own system, your own correspondence. And to get back to the question, that's what I feel we have been robbed of, not only through social media, but generally through the internet. Attention spans and the willingness to just dig deep and analyze. How do I think social platforms such as TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube have each impacted education and sharing information? This goes back to my previous answer, or like the previous question, but to elaborate a little bit, it has given us a lot of resources that I, growing up when I was 15, didn't have. I had to go and look for books in physical bookstores, and I was only able to work with the written, published resources that I could get my hands on, and in my own language, moreover, because back then there was no Amazon, there was no internet. I couldn't order a book in English or in German because I was in a German school, or in any other language that I spoke. I could only like physically go to a bookstore in my city and look at the books that they had there and make decisions, which one to choose, which one to read, which one to choose next. And that was it. My own personal start was through a book from Lady Angelis. I'm not sure how the English name is, but like if I translated it from the translation in Czech that it was originally from, it was The Journey of the Witch or something. And that's my start from to witchcraft, and it was random because that's the book that they had, and that's the book that sounded good that day. Great book though. Nowadays, you get a catalog of different practices and different traditions and different information through Instagram and TikTok, and you can like pick and choose and be eclectic and like get a broad sense of the world and what's possible, what is there. But also that broadness comes with shallowness and inability to double check sources, go deeper into that craft. If I see a TikTok about XY practice and that you should do this to achieve that, it's very difficult for me to then go and find more literature, more deeper resources, and create a ladder of structure for myself to explore that practice deeply and safely. Yeah, and that reminds me that what we have also had as an impact in this regard through social media is the lack of critical thinking and lack of like media literacy and like the ability to analyze and evaluate sources, which in short form content, that's by design, but we also don't treat the short form content as just like little bite-sized pieces to just taste and see, but we treat them as the resource itself, and that's, I don't think that's great. Is consuming witchcraft content becoming a substitute for practice? I can't speak for anybody else. I can speak to my own thoughts and feelings and like what I feel, but I can imagine how that could be possible. From some, like, coming from somebody who very openly has gone through a spiritual burnout, block, crisis of like not being able to do much after they have been doing a lot. I do feel that I have a tendency to look for content to look at, to get inspired, to get like the mojo, the hit of, oh my god, I want to do that. But I don't feel it's a substitute for practice. I feel that it's an inspiration. But also, I can imagine that creating witchcraft content could become a substitute for practice, where you create witchcraft content to sell your witchy wares shop. You create witchcraft content to gain followers. I can imagine that's something that's happening. Is it? I don't know. Out of what I share on social media, how much of it is staged versus reality? Well, currently I share mostly pictures of plants with my illustrations, so 50-50. The plant is there, it would be there even if I wasn't there with my camera. The card isn't there. I put it there, so if you want to take that as staged, then it's 50-50 staged, 50-50 not staged. I would consider it not staged because I just carry the cards on my walks, I carry the camera, and it just comes together. If I were to take it as the question of if I shared witchcraft content, how much of it would be staged and how much would be reality, I'd say it would be staged in the sense that I don't feel comfortable sharing my actual practice online. From like what I have been brought up into in my like witchy practice was, if you share your rituals online, you run the risk of them not working or them being like tainted. So if I were to share my practice online, it would either be like snippets from like before starting the ritual or after. And if I were to share a ritual on its own, then it would be staged, which I feel lacks the point. So I don't think I would do that. I have a couple of times shared like a card of the day draws, which were like the real deal, but I don't think that's the same. Do I think there is an element of censorship online in online spaces? How do I decipher what is appropriate to share online versus what to keep privately? Is this based on social media etiquette or personal preference? For sure there is a lot of censorship, be it censorship in terms of what content is allowed to what content is just to be self-censored. Self-censorship would for me be, for example, not sharing my own practice online, but also but for example, last week we did the first Threads of Tradition panel discussion amongst like Slavic people, and we got into talking about animal sacrifice and like animals used in rituals, and that's something that absolutely should and is censored online because first of all it's private, and second of all I don't think people who are not part of certain practices should be subjected to those practices. Have I ever encountered or heard of grifters in our community? Do I recognize them? What are significant signs of grifters in the community? Yes. No, I'm joking. Where I come from, first of all, there is a lot of grifters or charlatans that sell spiritual services in less than ethical ways. We've had like documentaries made about like people who claim to cure your cancer through energetic surgeries and stuff like that. And that's completely a grift and hyenism, as we have the word here. But also, I have encountered them online, fake profiles that try to sell you readings by impersonating somebody who is a voice in the community, let's say, or like an influencer. And also a lot of people that claim to sell rituals and spells, or on Etsy. There was like this, maybe it's still there, I don't know. But when I started my Etsy, like 2016-ish, 15-ish, something like that, you could actually sell jewelry and claim it contains a spirit of some sort. That's a grift. What tools are helpful to decipher misinformation, and how can we as a community prevent widespread misinformation? Check your sources, people. If somebody says something is a fact, you can Google it. You can try and find some primary sources. If somebody claims that something is a fact, you can ask them. Just not in any rude way. Just ask, hey, do you have some recommendation for literature where I could like dig more deep, because this is interesting, I'd like to know more. Yeah, never take anybody at face value. Always, if somebody looks interesting, looks weird, just somehow catches your eye, just try and find corroborating sources, corroborating information. Ask the person where you can like find out more, and look at their sources and look at the sources. You can use that same advice for news, for everything that you read. Just be critical, analyze, think, dig deeper. Don't repeat something just because you've heard it once or twice. How does a large following impact the perception of the creator? Does this immediately make them an expert, or are there other assumptions as to why they may have a large following? A large following tells me that somebody is doing something right. What it is depends entirely on the specific person, whether it's they create beautiful things, they share valuable information, or they are good at creating discussion, be it a discussion in a positive sense, creating dialogue, or creating discussion by being polarizing. They are doing something right in this online age. Does this make them an expert? Maybe an expert in the thing that gave them like the big following, be it an expert in good aesthetics, an expert at discussion, an expert in shareable content, probably. In terms of our like witchy community, does it make them an expert in like spiritual, witchy, magical things? Not necessarily. And I would even venture to say probably not, because I follow a couple of authors in like the occult space, people who I consider experts in some way. They are published authors with books that a lot of us cite in our works, and they have followings of a couple of hundred people, a couple thousand people. So because they're good at something else, they're good at writing good books. They are good at being experts at what they write books about, but they're not very good at doing social media, or they don't even have the ambition to be good at social media. And yeah, it's how it is. How does one maintain the balance of authenticity and content creation? First of all, I absolutely abhor and hate the phrase content creation, or like consuming content. It is just, I don't like the word either, but like dehumanizing. I don't think that creating content is something that people should do, because that says that you're just creating busy work. You are just creating something for the sake of it existing somewhere as content. I think that first of all, we should, unless, of course, unless you're a professional influencer and that's your job to create content, that's fine. But people like me, I don't have a following. I create oracle cards. What I create is not content. It's just an expression of myself. What I'm creating now here is, it's not supposed to be content. It's supposed to be a discussion. And I believe that when you surrender to calling what you do creating content and consuming content, you already surrender that authenticity in a way, because creating content cannot be authentic. You can either create an imprint or like create I don't know, I want to call it art. Okay, I want to call it art because that's my niche. When I create a blog post or a vlog or something, it's not primarily content. It's an expression of myself, an expression of my creativity, or expression of my opinion. It's an expression of me in the world. When I call it that I've created a piece of content, it feels like I have just created something for the sake of creating something. And that feels inauthentic to me. I know that nowadays that's the technical term for it. So I know that a lot of people that I look up to use it, but I would also like to urge people to think about calling it something different. The fact that the social media companies call it that doesn't mean we have to adopt that same language. And thinking about the language that we use is very important. And I wouldn't like to see our spiritual community go and adopt the language of creating content and consuming witchcraft content, because then it is passive, it is inauthentic, and it's creating things for creating things. And creating content to me sounds something the same way as fast fashion, and consuming content sounds the same to me as a Shein haul. It's just my opinion. Maybe I'm going too deep into the language. English is not my first language, so maybe I'm adding something to it, but I don't believe so. When I follow other creators in the community space, does it make me feel genuinely inspired and empowered, or does it create feelings of FOMO and being less than? I don't believe I am experiencing feelings of FOMO or being less than somebody else. I think I'm very lucky. I have to say that I have never gone into comparing myself to other people. To me, if I compare myself to somebody that I'm looking up to, and I see or think that they're better at something than I am, to me it says, if they can do it, so can I. That it says, hey, this is possible for you, for anybody else. That's what it says to me. So it doesn't make me feel less than, doesn't make me feel like I'm missing out. It just says to me, hey, if they're doing this and you want to do it, it is possible. Fear of missing out, I'm not afraid of missing out. I love missing out on things. Missing out on things is great. I like picking and choosing what I'm part of, what I do, who I talk to, who I respond to, what I make, what I consume. I have zero fear of missing out. I need more missing out in my life. If I experience FOMO, has it ever left me feeling vulnerable to be taken advantage of financially or otherwise? An example would be the need to purchase the latest popular product or book to fit in. As I said, I've never experienced FOMO. I do feel sometimes vulnerable like with the need to purchase things, not because I want to fit in, but because, hey, maybe this is the thing that will inspire me to change my practice, to become more structured, to have more discipline that I'm in danger of. But however, I can imagine how other people, or like how generally that could be a pipeline. You're afraid of missing out on something. When practicing my craft, do I feel myself comparing what I do to what I've been seeing people do online? Yes. Not nowadays, but when I go back to my story with the old witch blur, Tradcraft, Tumblr, I did have those feelings sometimes that like this creator or that creator, I'm using that language. That person is like doing these amazing things and like has this elaborate craft, and I don't. Yeah, sometimes I have found myself like wistful of somebody writing and claiming about like talking to spirits and like on the old Tumblr transcribing whole dialogues, and I've never heard a spirit speak to me like in a dialogue way. My experience has been different. I have communicated with spirits, but never like in a dialogue fashion. And yeah, sometimes for a minute it makes me feel like I am not missing out, but comparing like what am I doing? But then you have to realize and critically think. You first of all, you don't know what everybody on the internet writes is true or not, and if it is, it's their reality. It has nothing to do with me, and it has nothing to do with the quality of my craft, my life, and my experience. It's apples and oranges, if that could be apples and pasta. In what ways do I combat imposter syndrome? Me and imposter syndrome are very close. I don't know how to combat through more learning. Every year I have some sort of course or like go to lectures and studies on like everything from aromatherapy. That was a year and a half, like certified in person, like a paper at the end. I also went to the pharmaceutical college of the Charles University for medicinal herb course. That was a year in person, like taught by actual like doctors of pharmacy. And do I feel like I'm not not impostering anymore? Not at all. I just have to realize that that's what it is. The fact that I feel that I don't know enough about things to speak about them is very different than actually like being an imposter. And I have to, and maybe that's how I'm combating it, and that's dividing these two things. The fact that I feel that I don't know enough or as much as I would like to is not the same as pretending to be something or someone that I'm not, or being an imposter. What would my practice look like without the social media influence of other creators? That would probably be Wicca. As I said, then my first start into witchcraft was in like 2004 with the book by Lita Angeles. Into like witchcraft. At that time, at least, she was a Wiccan, and the book was heavily influenced by Wicca. So I would probably be looking for other things along that line. I have since looked for things along that line. I love Scott Cunningham and many other like creators like that. Do I consider online communities as equally valid to in-person communities? Yes. That's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for an online community. I am an introvert. I find in-person communities very hard to filter out and very hard to miss out on certain things or certain parts or certain people, and very hard to curate to my personal particular needs. So online communities 100% equally valid, and everybody can choose whether they prefer online or in person. How have online occult witchcraft communities impacted me as a person and practitioner? I believe that over the course of this video, I have divulged many ways that online witchcraft has impacted me. Has it been in a positive way? Absolutely. Has it been enriching? Yes, absolutely. Am I wistful and longing for some of the past online occult witchcraft days? and forums and like blogs and Tumblrs. Absolutely yes, because it had depth, it had substance, it had a lot of things that nowadays TikTok and Instagram lack very much. YouTube aside, I think YouTube is in a way one of the most enriching and beneficial social media platforms for like a lot of practices, not only witchcraft, not only magic, not only spirituality, because it allows, and we see lately in the trends that it encourages in-depth explorations. The fact that we can find a 7-hour analysis on a book that's 150 years old, and somebody like spends the time and makes the video, it's great. It's a great counterweight to the 7-second, hey, I need to scroll because I didn't like the first 3 seconds mentality that we have been conditioned into. What are some of the dangers of the current phenomenon of capitalizing of witchcraft community? I feel that one of the biggest dangers, and not only in the witchcraft community, but like spiritual community, is capitalizing on people's grief and helplessness and hopelessness, especially in like the physical and mental health circles, and trying to sell to people solutions of a spiritual kind, where solutions of a medical, therapeutic, or other sort of kind should be applied. I believe that having spirituality and witchcraft and magic as a complementary path to dealing or like looking for solutions is great. And I think that we have to teach people that like magic can offer solutions, but it shouldn't be the only thing you do. It has to be in tandem and hand in hand with other like real world mundane solutions that we can apply. Telling somebody who is desperate, sick, ill, or just hopeless that you will take off a curse for how many hundred whatnots is just morally reprehensible. Like, it's immoral and it's unethical and it's reprehensible. And I think that's where I see the danger of capitalizing of like the witchcraft community, because a lot of people who are into spirituality, witchcraft, magic can be vulnerable to somebody saying, hey, you only need witchcraft or magic or spirituality to resolve your problems. And that's not always the case. Have I been personally affected by this, or have I witnessed somebody be affected? I have not been personally affected by this. I have not witnessed firsthand somebody being affected by this. I have seen documentaries, even like from my own country, of people capitalizing on this. There, even on Netflix now, there is a documentary which is very similar. Then you have a lot of other gurus and like practitioners who take advantage of people. So it's well documented. It's not something that's obscure on like Instagram or somewhere. It's well documented that it happens, and that's why we should take care. Should there be paywalled communities and online courses? Absolutely. I think in the day and age of bots first of all, where like anybody or like anything, any robot can create an account and go follow you and go write comments and messages. Creating a paywalled community is a way to protect against that. It doesn't have to be paywalled by a super high amount. Of course, it can be if you want it, but I think paywalled communities are safe communities and are communities that filter out people who would participate in bad faith, would filter out bots and like fake accounts. And of course, if somebody is creating an online course, that person should be paid for their time, for their experience, for their expertise. So of course, the amount of money that this community or that course should cost is something that should be more under debate. I don't think an online course with pre-recorded videos should cost thousands and thousands of dollars or euros. But also, like, if somebody is willing to pay for it, they should at least get their money's worth. How does one ensure the authenticity of courses, workshop memberships as a financial investment? I will not be analyzing the language of what does it mean to call this a financial investment. Is it like that I pay for a workshop to become something and that something will then make me money? Or is it just making sure that you spend your money wisely? If I take it that it just means spending your money wisely, then looking at reviews, asking for people, asking for confirmation about like word of mouth, if somebody has experienced the course workshop, especially if that feedback can be found somewhere where it's not owned by the company that offers these courses and workshops and therefore owns the reviews and can pick and choose what is shown. But also, like, if you will buy courses and workshops and memberships online, you are bound sometimes to just find out that the specific course or workshop that you have purchased is not for you, and it's just a risk that we have to face. I would just say that if you don't know the person or the company that is making that workshop, don't buy the most expensive option off the bat. Just buy something small, minimal. Just try out whether that somebody is to your taste, if you like vibe, and then go from there. What are some topics of conversation I like to see more of in our community? I would like to see more experience, or like personal experiences, more testing and trying out stuff, giving each other feedback. We live in an age where we have a lot of new data points and a lot of new rituals, a lot of new books being written, a lot of new authors coming out with their own personal practice. And I would really like to see people putting these things to the test and then sharing their feedback, not like reviews for the book, but hey, I have tried this spell or this ritual from that book. I did exactly this, and like month later, this is what happened to me. Or like, this is how it went, what happened. And like giving each other a taste of our experiences and vetting, not vetting, but, you know, just critically trying out stuff and just sharing. Maybe that. What are my community needs? Yeah, I think I've over-explained already, so I will just move on. Where would I like to feel more held and supported? I feel held and feel supported. I don't think that this is a question or like asking for more like holding and more support. I think the community is holding each other and supporting each other, and that's wonderful. I would maybe appreciate us challenging each other in a positive way, like challenging each other to try things out, to peer review each other, to share experiences with like same things, and challenge each other to do not more but like better, to explore. Where do I feel like I'm not truly being seen by my community? I don't think that's applicable. For me personally, I don't think I feel unseen. I think that the unseenness, or like the feeling unseen, doesn't come from the community. If there is such feeling, I think it comes from the online algorithms choosing for us what we get to see and who we get to interact with the most. So how can we help each other in removing external peer pressure and grow in community? I don't know what we mean by external peer pressure. I can imagine what external pressure is, but what external peer pressure is in terms of the witchcraft community, I'm not really sure. I think that in today's day and age, the creating and holding of community is something that has to be worked on. Because as I mentioned just like a minute ago, we are very much subject to what technology chooses for us to see, to interact with. And we have to make sure that we find and communicate with the people that we want to find and communicate. Do not rely on what appears on your For You page or on the first page of Instagram. Go and look up the people that you're interested in communicating with and communicate with them and create that community with them. Curate your feeds, curate the media and the content that appears on your screen. Tell that technology, hey, I want to see more of this, less of this, if it's possible. If it's not possible, then just remember the people that you want to communicate with, and once a week or how oftentimes you want to go to their page and look, hey, have they posted something, have they participated in any sort of discussion, can I add something, can I support them, can I ask a question, and really make sure that you are creating that community, because the community is no longer a forum where you log in and you see the latest posts of somebody and you can reply to that conversation because that conversation is still there. We now live in an era where you log in, the conversation you had yesterday is long gone. Nobody remembers. You probably can't even find the comment because it has been filtered out by the latest comments for you, and it is difficult. It is difficult and it has to be worked on. How can we as a community come together more with constructive criticism without it seeming shady, passive, and aggressive? Without seeming shady, passive, and aggressive, I would say that you have to, first of all, stop thinking that every question is directed against you. They can be directed at you, but I think a lot of the seeming shady and passive aggressive is about people being, let me look up the word because I don't know what the word is in English. Apparently, what I'm trying to say is something between touchy, miffy, oversensitive, and easily offended. In Czech, the word is vztahovačný. And it means that you think that things are about you. You relate them to yourself. Vztah and vztahovačný is like relation and relationable. And it basically just means that you relate everything back to yourself. And that's where things can be seeming shady or passive aggressive if just the question is taken personally as offense. First, I think that we need to work on not taking things personally. And when there is criticism or critique, which I think is a much better word than criticism, if there is critique of either your work or your information, you first have to ask yourself, is this just a question, or is this just constructive, hey, this could be done better, or is this an attack on you personally? I believe that in our spiritual witchcraft community, actual shady, passive aggressive, in bad faith criticisms are very rare. I think that we could actually do with more criticism and more critical analysis of things, because we as a community are inundated by fake profiles and people who do things in bad faith. And a little bit more of constructive criticism could go a long way, whilst we also do our shadow work and stop perceiving things as personally offensive to us. Was this shady and passive aggressive? I hope not. How can we as a community do better when we do receive criticism and or feedback? As I said, just first of all, analyze within yourself how much you take to heart and how much is meant ad hominem and how much is just a question that is not meant to be personal attack. And even if it is a personal attack and passive aggressive, decide that you will not take that to heart personally, and you will just take things that serve you from it. If, hey, this was a shitty video, you look like a clown because your hair is not straight, appeared under this video in the compliments section of this video, then do I take this personally? I don't think so. I did this on purpose because it was easy. Also, I realized that I have to film an outro because when I realized that my camera was off, it was the end of the video, but I just stopped doing everything and panicked. So I didn't do any outro. Thank you for watching so far. Thank you for bearing with me and my little kitty family. If you are interested in what I do, I illustrate plants. I have a website which will be linked below, but generally, if you want to subscribe to this channel, I just hope to use it to create more content that I would like to see, which is basically commentary and opinions. And I think that that's something that could be useful in this witchcraft space, so that's what I want to do. I hope to follow up with the fail tales tag because I find that one very interesting, and then I will just go as I please, as I see. And I hope this will be fun for everybody, and we will get to have a conversation below. And yeah, thank you so much for watching this. Bye bye.